Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the demo, my friend. Let's mute that. And let's get rolling. This will be a little bit of a kind of weirder one in a sense, because there's not a huge overarching theme at the end like I do a lot of the time. Because, I don't know, it's just more of an individual round thing, so pay attention when I give, like, some rules and stuff. I'm also going to try and go a bit, like, more concise and clear than normal because of that, because this one's more about the process than it is, like, the final sentence at the end. Like, sometimes that can kind of sum up a lot of it really well, even though I do have a really long paragraph at the end. So, yeah, just be aware that people will peek window when you go up arch here, or not arch, alt mid here. And be careful approaching angles with an 8 out like this. Like, you saw how he could have killed you right there. And then just right here in this fight, this is not something you want to do with a pistol, man. You really don't want to be pre-firing angles, because pistols are just, they're slow. They put out semi-automatic like bullets. They're not like a SMG or an AK where you can, like, spray and the bullets will keep coming one after the other. So you really won't have any success trying to, like, pre-fire him. Even if you would, like, insta-headshot them, it really wouldn't have been pretty lucky and not, like, skill-based. And again, this is why the Glock's so good on pistol round. It's running, while running, it's just really accurate. Whereas you can see with that P250 right there, before you got, domed, and apparently we're showing that off. The P250, you could see the bullets were kind of just going off on their own, and that's because the P250 isn't as great for running. Just don't do this on pistols. Just focus on improving your ability to literally be moving, put it on his head, and tap. Because head and tap is why pistols are such a skill-based round, because it is so possible to just always hit headshots on the pistol round. But yeah, just two big things there. Don't get overzealous, I guess, basically. Don't go for spams on pistol. Just, if you have him in front of you, try and headshot him. And if you need to spam him sometimes, like while he's facing you, do that. Ecos are hard to give a ton of advice on, but if you just see a teammate stuck, like, with the bomb somewhere, like down there, try and help him maybe. Like, there's not much I can say, because you didn't do anything wrong. You just came from alt mid and tried to help him. But your teammates pull through. So there wasn't much to talk about that round, because you didn't have any bad crossface or anything. You just swung and you got a kill, which is lucky. Okay, so this is a really big one. So, like, a exclamation point here. Don't go in apps against ecos and force buys. The reason being is that people will always take their pistols into apps, so just stay away from it. Go brackets instead. Go B instead. Anything but just putting yourself into apps, and if you do go apps, you cannot go alone. You need to do it somehow with a teammate, coordinated. Because if you go alone like this, you're just in a recipe to get double peeked. You're just like, you can, like, they don't do it this round, but you're still in that, just such a good recipe to get double peeked, and because you have to take this fight so perfectly, that because you didn't take it well, and your crosshair wasn't really prepared for the guy, and you immediately tried to look away from him, you get wrecked, and you can see your crosshair just wasn't ready. It's just something you want to avoid, and even I can barely get it done against any players, even bad ones, and it's just something where you just want to avoid that. It's just don't go in apps against ecos. I got yelled at for like an hour to learn that lesson, so you got it in 30 seconds. Just avoid it at all times when they have pistols. Anytime you have like a Glock armor or something like this, that means you basically goofed up. Don't buy the Glock and armor and flashes. Don't do that. Don't be that dude. Get a P250 or something. Get like anything but just a Glock, or like don't buy head armor or anything just to get yourself a gun. Because now that you have a Glock, you're just so useless this round. Try not to have a round where you just have a Glock in your hand, and if you do, follow a teammate and steal their gun. Otherwise, we're just gonna let it play out. Because you're just out here trying to Glock people, and it's just not gonna work. And then the guy just kills you. Just avoid rounds where you're having to play with a Glock, because you can't even play normally with a Glock. Like, you can't even take peeks like you could take with a PD-50. There's my mouse. So the deagle, like, whenever I do this on any map, like when I have to go B on apps, or B on Mirage, I really hate when I buy a deagle on accident when I should be buying a CZ, or not B, A-ramp. Like, I don't prefer to go A-ramp, like, on a rush with a CZ, so, like, or with a deagle, so anytime you're trying to go somewhere, try and, like, buy a gun for it, and if you don't have the gun, maybe avoid it. Because apps with the deagle is really fucking shit. Because it's just way harder. And then the deagle's really not running gun, so, like, if you're gonna take a peek, like, in the deep hallway like this, you have to take it like it's pretending like you're trying to one-tap him with a rifle, basically, and that your crosshair needs to be perfect like needs to be perfect for this. Like you have to have great crosshair placement when you're going for a peek like this. You can't kind of ignore it or not peek it. The whole point is that it's kind of a fair fight for you. It's like a good fight for the deagle, so you want to make the most out of it and actually peek down that hallway with good cross placement and kill the guy. Because if you try and run and gun him like that because you didn't prepare for him and then try and get this guy, you're just going to spam. Spamming's not really truly reliable with that gun. Even it is once you've got it down, but for a lot of people, so that like it feels a little wrong to do the pull down double tap that you have to do to get that kill. But if you had just peeked at App's hallway normally there, like you're supposed to do with the deagle, and given it a good solid peek, you probably could have 1D'd the shit out of the kid. Because that's what the deagle's made for, is that kind of engagement. So, here you go. You know they're playing Apps, you learned from it, and you're going to murder one of them. That's one of the bigger things that I took from this one, is that what you're going to have to start doing is more stuff like this, where you recognize the tendencies of the other team and kind of try to abuse them. And beyond abusing them, just try and recognize them, because some rounds you're just not. And then this is just crosshair placement right there where you got killed. It's pretty much the only thing I can say for this type of fight is either, don't take this fight, like just say screw it and just go with your teammates, or just hold the walkout. Or don't take the fight because it's a bad angle in the sense that you can't really know where they're going to peek from, if it's going to be deep and just ahead, or if it's going to be close and just a body. Or you just have to try and find a middle ground and hope it works. So what I mean by middle ground is that on these elevation changing angles, you just have to find somewhere where like either you hold a little bit higher so that way you can hit this guy in the head as he comes up, or you hold a little lower or a little bit in the middle so maybe you can flick between low and high. Otherwise, this is just an angle like you feel uncomfortable when you take it, just avoid it. When you if you feel uncomfortable holding an angle like this, just get out of that angle. Don't hold it anymore. I have to do that on a lot of angles on Mirage, where I'm just like, oh, I just can't, I won't win this fight. So I just, instead of holding it, I just move along. And it's on a lot of the maps that are like that. So just try and recognize when you know an angle's kind of going to be weird, and just try and find a better way to do it. Again, running and gunning. You really don't want to do this in Apps. Like I said, Apps is just all about really crisp, perfect clearing. If you're just sprinting through it like that, you're going to get killed. Then again here, you get lucky. But if you had just taken a normal peek, like boom left side, boom right side, that guy's dead. You barely take 10 damage probably, because he starts shooting you in the leg through the wall. If you're just going to try and run and gun Apps, it has to be the crisp, super solid crosshair placement on every single angle. Otherwise, it's just, you're just basically trying to die at that point. And then here, a little better, you shift walked out on him. Actually, if he'd been there, you probably would have been able to hit a headshot. That's better than just, full sprinting into an angle like this. So then again, treat empty angles like this type of peek. So what I want you to, what I mean by, treat empty angles like this, when you go to peek hallway, always treat it like you're about to peek this guy. Peeked him. Put your crosshair on the next angle. We're ready to shoot when you saw him. That kind of thing. I know you knew he was there, but if you just treat left side hallway like, oh, I know he's there, and just peek it, ready to shoot, you'll have a good amount of success. Then the rest of this round, you play really well. This is exactly what you want to do at pit or mini pit, is just stay down, keep your head the only thing visible, force them into a one-tap fight. And you have low HP, so this is literally the best fight you have on this entire map right now. So you're in a great position to win this round. Then you chill, you let them get out, re-peek, wait to trade with your teammate. That's perfect. That is all perfect. That's exactly what you want to do. So that's why I'm saying that a lot of the stuff you're going to need to work on here is the beginning of the round and the tendencies of the other team, in the sense that what do you keep doing that is maybe putting you in danger, or what is something that got you killed. Try and recognize that yourself before I do a Timmer review, because that's the stuff that kind of makes these rounds a little harder. Then you do really well here, but this is just a little bit of bad luck. You peek, put your head right on his, or crosshair right on his head, but you just don't shoot. I just say there's really no reason for this, because your teammate is taking contact, so you really kind of want to wait till you actually have some confirmation that the guy is up porch, because if you don't have that confirmation and you swing and your teammate can't trade, then the guy is a 1v1. And what did you gain by swinging? You already knew he was porch. Your teammate had shot at them a couple times. So, don't just give yourself up in those 2v1s and make an easy round a hard one all of a sudden. Just chill, you make the guy come deal with you and your teammate. Same thing about Apps, just it's really dangerous, but if you take it slow like this, it's better to, go slow and just wait, maybe listen for some noise, that kind of thing. This is much better than, the trying to, ball out on them with your sprinting. Hold up. I missed something earlier, but when you're coming up alt mid, you're supposed to throw the molly from, can I do it? Will it let me? You're supposed to throw the molly from all the way back here, by the way. You break the window with a pistol, then throw the molly. You threw it here. I missed it, but I just want to point that out. Make sure you're throwing it while you're coming up alt mid, not when you're already up, otherwise it's too late and you'll die. Okay, so this is a really important thing to learn. Whenever you're lurking out somewhere like this, you have to 100% explicitly state to your team what you didn't clear. So okay, you're coming out, you're chilling. Your team goes B, baits the rotates. You jump out. You cleared nothing. You didn't even clear porch properly. All you know is porch side's technically clear. But you have to tell them you didn't clear mid, you didn't clear arches, they could be in apps. You have to say that to your teammates so that when they come up mid, they're ready for this guy. Because what you have to assume is that one guy probably stayed, or one guy's flanking, or something. Because that's just a common thing that occurs, so it's really important that you reiterate that to your teammates. And all you have to do is just say, hey, I didn't clear mid, I didn't clear boiler, he could be apps. And maybe, they come out with their gun out and get a kill that way. Then here, you were just fucked at this point. Because of that, because your teammates really didn't come in prepared for this guy, that guy basically had a knife out, you have to inform them. Because even if they don't, they're puggers, they don't talk to the teammates, when people hear, could be mid, they'll pull out a gun. And that's what you're trying to do, is maximize your chance to win this game, even if your teammate's an asshole. So, just make sure you call that stuff out. And I didn't start the voice chat, but I listened. It was not said. Being a human sacrifice is a valid strategy, is all I wrote on this round. That's all I wrote. There's nothing you can do. You're going through a smoke with a P250, you have the least stuff, go die. Works out. You should have won that round, but your team sucks. This round, crosshair placement is the big thing that I would say on this round. So, when you come around this corner right here, look at that. You're dead center on the hallway. That's not what you want. You want to start on the left as you come around so that while your shoulder is visible to the left side, that's the angle you're fighting. Here, all I wrote was you're nuts. But if you're gonna peek balcony like that, you may as well treat the angle properly and just come out and peek it. But I did write you're nuts because you just 1D that guy. But yeah, you really don't want to jump it ever really, even unless you have a CZ, I guess, or a back 10 like that, but really, that's an angle where you just want to swing out on that bitch and just kill him if you're peeking it, because you've already, given up your back, even if you're jumping to sight. Okay, so worst place in the world to AFK, just to make that abundantly clear, because people will beat that shit. Okay, so be careful with flashes like this, because what they'll lead you to do is overexpose yourself. So just be careful that the next time you throw that, you're not accidentally too far forward or something, because it's something silly that you're just, doing, and it's not really worthwhile, but you just want to avoid that. This is great right here. You smoke it, you immediately go to trade this guy. I will say, though, check the crosshair placement. You come around the corner a little low. You come around the corner checking the middle of the porch, not really any of the common angles. So, it's all right because you don't really know where he is, but you can see where that will start to cause problems against better players who would have kept right behind the pillar and kept their cover, entirely while they were throwing that smoke. Because you came around the corner looking at the red door with your crosshair not quite at head level, and it's a little bit of a mistake there. Okay, so even though you don't die to either of these angles, I want you to always remember, check the top balcony one where the guy was standing last time when you jumped out and 1D'd him. Always check that standing on their top balcony angle from while you're coming through porch side. And then always check left side box unless you know where the guy is. And even if you know where a guy is on site, you should still check it once he's dead. Because people will do that. They'll double up. You don't check top balc, you don't check left side at all, and then luckily this guy plays it poorly and is in a random spot. Add those to your list of places I want to check. Then this is a huge mistake. This is something you should just change in your mindset, in your gameplay, everything. Don't do shit like this anymore in after plans. Because what you're doing right now is giving a guy a 1v1 who previously had no info on where you were besides you're on A, and would have had to come find you while also dealing with the possibility that your teammate could kill him at any moment, and he'd have to clear the entirety of the site and all the angles involved. What you're doing is giving him a 1v1 when you don't need 1v1s and he needs 1v1s. He needs you to do something like this to win this round. You don't need to do anything like this to win a round. You just need to sit. So make sure you learn from this, that in after plants, the only time you should be looking for 1v1s is when you're down a man, you're 2v4ing. You want to even it up before they get in here, hit a headshot. You don't need that right now. It's a 2v2 on site. You need to force them to take hard-ass fights and waste time. So give up the angle, go hide on a box somewhere, or chill. Re-peeking to this 1v1 is a huge mistake. Learn from this. Any map, any site, is you want to avoid this at all costs, because you just give him such an easy fight that he previously could not have possibly gotten, because he doesn't know where you are. But if you hold that angle, he knows exactly where you are and exactly where he's going to get a free 1v1 where your teammate can't trade you. Avoid it at all costs. That is the #1 mistake everyone makes in Afterplants that loses games and loses rounds, and it lost that round right there. So, better peek there. You left side, took left side fight. Better. You swung a little wide still, but that's something you can just improve as you do it when you notice you get shot in the shoulder one time. I would just say you probably want to stop, jump peeking this. And then also, you hear the guy reload to your left, and then you don't peek your left. That's a pretty big mistake. You should be able to hear a reload. And then because you didn't even, look at sight, this is, way harder than it should be. But you then kill him anyways, that's alright. But you heard him reload, you should 100% have checked your left. And also that jumping thing you're doing is just going to make your life harder. But this all could have been way different, because if you hear the reload, you kind of know the guy's porch, so you can sneak out behind him and just kill him. That's what I would have done. I would have just shift walked out and killed him and assumed balcony's probably clear, because this guy's just chilling porch. So make sure you're listening, using your sound cues, using your info. This angle right here, by the way, when you try and fight it, it's pretty much impossible to spray down. Wait, give it a second. The angle to your left right here, it's pretty much impossible to spray, honestly, so I typically just tap at it when they're there. Then here, you get really, you make a good, play, you headshot show that guy, spray this guy down, and get this guy. The assumption to be made now is that, 1, you killed 3 people A. So there's probably a late rotate from mid or B. You can make that assumption because the bomb just now went down. They just now knew they had the bomb. They didn't have it and were sitting on it for all that time. He killed them 5 seconds ago, which means you can make the assumption that A is now clear because you killed 3 people and 1 guy is normally left to hold a site in case they go back. Even when they have a ton of info, they do that. So you just made a slight error in what you thought was happening. You've got to just go get the bomb and get that shit down, because if you don't, you lose the round no matter what you do at that point, unless you get lucky and catch the guy off. Because the bomb is what traps you into the shitty fight right here. Had you just gotten the bomb and just tried to plant it safe, the worst thing that happens is you hear the guy start sprinting or something, he comes kill you, or maybe you're unlucky and he's nearby. But you have to get the bomb down as soon as you get that 3rd kill there. That is what separates those rounds you see on Reddit or something from the rounds that end like that, where you could have been a sweet 4K clutch, but instead you just didn't go and do the simple part of get bomb, plant, then I'll deal with where he can come from, because I have a point that he has to come deal with. So make sure in your clutches that you're aware of the fact of when okay, it's time to just go get the bomb here. Good job on this angle. Then here, this is what I was talking about with you having to use info and stuff. You know these guys play 3A. You know they love to play 1 mid, 1 porch. As soon as you kill a scout, you can pretty much assume there's a porch player, because no one who would play porch side is going to use a scout. He's going to be peeking mid with the scout like he was when you killed him. So that should mean in your head, I'm gonna get re-peeked, or someone's going to try and trade me pretty much instantly from porch, because they would probably be playing it together. And if they don't do it, all you did was just hold it for an extra half a second or 2 seconds, because that's the common way that fight goes, because people feel like they need to trade out people when they die. So that's the kind of thing where you have to use the info you know about the team you're playing, and then just in general about the game, that they play 2 mid normally, that you need to make your assumptions based off of what you're going to turn to next. You had already cleared halls, so it would have been a real stretch for someone to have actively shift walked all the way back. Now by this time, that's pretty possible. You could have shift walked back. And this is again the other piece of info you have to do. Like I said, always keep track of what you know. They normally play 3A. Every team basically always plays 3A. So you killed 2. There's 1 guy who's either going to be balcony, mini pit, big pit, graveyard, or hiding site. That's pretty much his options at that point. So you know that, and yet you don't use any of that info, which means that's something you need to learn. You need to learn how to apply this assumption-based, but 95% always right info, and change how you play. So what you need to assume here is that he's either probably top balcony, mini pit, or big pit, and you don't check any of those. So that's your first big mistake there. Then, because you didn't really know that this guy's going to win in the round, because you didn't say, hey, there's probably 1 more here. That's something you just say to your teammate. Hey, there's probably 1 more here, just in case they don't know either. So this is where it's huge that you have to learn these really obvious info and patterns that happen on these sites. That's a really big one that is just, it seems hard, I guess, to like, you know, make that assumption and just play around it, but it's a really simple, you know, conclusion to come to. That dude is not dead at A, and they play 3A. You just have to assume, okay, he's doing something. He's somewhere else. Go check those angles. You didn't do any of that, and so if he'd been anywhere else, you still would have lost the round. But you got unlucky that he pushed apps right behind you, but it didn't matter. You didn't do your job either way. So you've got to remember that. Remember when you can use info for yourself and when you can make assumptions based off of it. Again, be careful that you aren't, wait for it. Okay, you just chill here most of this round. Right here. Be careful that you aren't accidentally committing to that angle, so like backing your butt in front of it. You did a little bit there, and then you turned and hit a nice shot. He shot you in the butt before you got a shot off, so that's what I'm saying, is that just be careful you don't back that, you know, back up into it. So like I said, when you're coming through, you're checking all these angles, add top balcony to your list of angles to always check. Always, always, always. I have a clip in one of my frag movies where I get a 4K on B, and I had to just like flick to this guy's head and delete him, and it was because at the exact moment he peeked was the moment I remembered, oh, I have to peek that angle, and from now on I always peek that angle, because even in a round when I was just demolishing the other team, I was like, oh shit, I done goofed, because I forgot about it, and I luckily got the headshot right as it happened. Be careful building this angle with an AK, and then on this type of angle, it's one where you either need to commit to holding, or you need to peek and shoot. You can't peek and like try and pre-fire, because what happened there was you started to pre-fire again, but you were a little bit too far left, so you went to correct right. The bullets were just gone at that point. So make sure you're not trying to pre-fire angles like that. It has to be a peek and acquire and shoot, or a hold and shoot. You can't try and get ahead of yourself in that type of fight, because it's just too much to ask of yourself to like get that well enough that you get that kind of kill, because you're too far away. Okay, so Kid Smoke would have been way more valuable here than the nade and saving your money. I don't know why you did that. If you're not going to buy armor, get Kid Smoke every time, and then maybe a Molotov if you weren't. And then this is a valuable lesson to learn about pistol rounds, is once someone's like past your ability to kill them and now you're exposed to new angles, give it up, fall back to your original starting safer angle, because you have a teammate who can then help you if that guy pushes up. But if you overcommit to trying to deal with this one guy, you're just going to expose yourself to him and the rest of the team when they come around the corner. Obviously this time the rest of the team wasn't a factor, but because you're so exposed, so focused on getting that guy, it's much easier for him to deal with you, because you're in a fight you don't really like. Then here, instead of running away, you should just probably stay in this situation because your teammate is stuck in U-box. That's somewhere where you can have a lot of impact if they try to cross and kill you and he peeks out at the right time, maybe he gets like a 2K, something like that. And you do well here to come back and get your kills, so I'm not saying this is bad. I'm saying the better play would probably have been to try and help your teammate as they crossed, because then you know you two can work together and maybe one of you hits some shots because they're all looking away. The rest of this half is kind of not the most, like, you know, useful thing because of the way it's played out, because of all the forces, the way you guys were losing. But there are some rounds in here with some useful information. Okay, so this is kind of just unlucky, so there's not much to talk about. That's like what I mean by this half's kind of weird. You shot him through the wood. It's like rip, you know? So there's not much, like, you didn't miss spray even, you were on him, he stopped right in front of the wood. Just one of those unluckos. Okay, so I guess what you're doing here is facing the wall to avoid the flash, but if you have a teammate with you, you probably want to face in front of you, like towards the fight, because the teammate's going to pull them off for a second, so you're hoping to get like a multi-frag, because that like they'll push through and you'll just get the kill. So you don't want to like be facing the wall trying to hit flicks or something unless you have like a valid reason. So remember, you do well here, you used your radar, you realized what the guy was doing, and then you realize a little late, but it's fine. I will say that I don't hate this spot, but it's not the situation to do this spot. You don't have any support from a site player, which the whole point of this spot is that the site guy takes contact, you peek late and kill everyone porch. This isn't about holding apps from this spot. You're meant to kill porch people when you play here. So if you play here with no one to support you at site, it's really, really risky and bad when you could just do the same type of contact plays you're going to end up having to do from pit. So I know that seems like a lot to think about in the middle of a round, but it's not. Just say, hey, okay, I'll play here. Oh, okay, I don't really have anyone with me. This guy's stuck arch. I'll just go back pit when the guy dies in apps. You know, just move yourself over there when he died in apps. But if you stay committed to this, you're going to see what happens is you limit yourself to a much harder fight than if you had just, you know, been in pit. Because let's say, okay, you let them all up. They don't know you're here. Sweet. You kill one dude, and now you have these fights where it's like, where do you pre-aim next? You just saw how you had no way of knowing where to put your crosshair next. Because that's not a fight you can make predictions from. Whereas pit, you know your angles. You know, oh, I'm going to have to fight site, or I'm going to have to fight porch, or I'm going to have to fight balcony. Those are angles you can isolate and like get a good solid fight from. So that's why that type of angle is just so bad, and is kind of like it's more like a setup than it is a default place to play by yourself. So you have to look for situations where you're putting yourself in danger. This is another just unlucky thing. You don't do anything wrong, you get instantly blinded. Then this guy jumps through a smoke on a 4-spy. Not a smart man. You couldn't have expected that. You couldn't have done anything different. Okay, so this is a really important thing to remember. I'm sure I've said this in a demo before for you. Like 1,000, I'm sure like 1,000 times I've said this before. I say it for everyone at least once. Do not rotate late unless you for 100% see a bomb walking into the other side. Your teammates did not spot a bomb. They heard a bunch of flashes. You're the only person here. So if you rotate, that's it. Do not rotate. Just chill. Unless they're seeing bomb go to site, your teammates are dying, there's no reason for you to rotate. You're the solo player at A. You gain nothing by rotating. They're not dead yet. They have no site control. You don't gain anything by rotating. So don't do it. Then you rotate back, knife out, he kills everybody. But remember this from here. Like I said, this demo is more about these individual little things, and then the bigger ideal things about how I want you to start thinking, like I've been talking about with your spot and graveyard, with the stuff on B side, avoiding Nico, knowing when that guy's gonna be boy, that kind of stuff. This is more about trying to give you a little bit of help in the thinking department for like making decisions, and these little small individual things where this is a habit that you just have to get out of. I have to break people out of this in the FPL qualifier stuff. People do this shit all the time, and it gets them, their teammates, lost rounds. You luckily didn't lose that, but you know what I'm saying. So once you're this late to B, if you stand here throwing nades, you are going to get run down and murdered the next time you do it. Like, you just have to avoid being on that corner once you're late. You have to throw those nades fast, just so for future reference. So then here you make a good retake, so like a well-played retake. You peek that guy and murder him. Your cross replacement was fine. Your spray just was a little off. That's just something you have to, try and improve, kill some bots. That's not something I can do a whole lot to tell you about. Then here, you're holding the angle. Just make sure you're you don't panic yourself out of it, and also understand the fact that that's not an angle anyone's ever gonna jiggle peek you from, because this dude's not oh, this guy's holding me from left side CT in his mind. He's like, oh, I need to get across, or I'm in a wide swing and look for fights. Then this one, you swung a little too wide. It saved your life in the end anyways. But you can see what I'm talking about with the CT peek is that guy, that's an angle they're not going to just jiggle you at. They're going to wide swing. So you want to keep your crosshair a little farther off in those situations where oh, this is going to be a fight where this guy's just going to try and, come at me. He's going to try and swing. The end of this game, there's a bunch of rounds where you stand around doing nothing. So obviously I'll just let you watch so that you can know what I'm talking about. This is fine. You left the teammate site. You rotated. Teammate came back. You came back. So if there was anything I noticed wrong in these, I would have told you. That's basically because I'm going to have to skip 2 of them in a second, and it's going to feel weird to skip the last 2 gun rounds. But that's all that happened. You didn't make any bad rotations, or I would mention them. So you had 2 rounds where you played right, your team played and killed everyone. That's just so when I skip the next 2, you're not going to be confused. Okay, so this isn't really badly played here. You do a lot for what you were given. I'll just say, this is one of those situations where you probably just want to try and stay alive because you have a teammate, Moto, helping you out. So you just want to fight one angle. You don't want to get too antsy because if you do just fight one angle, you keep your team in a much better situation. So this guy swings on you, you're good. But then, like I said before in apps, you want to be careful with the swings. So, it's like I said, you didn't play it poorly and you did what you needed to win. It's just in another round, if you swing out late like that with 10 HP, you probably get killed. Whereas if you just chill and hold this angle after you kill the first guy or come back to that angle, you probably kill the guy the same way. So it's just, be careful because you could see there when you swung out how that would have been dangerous and how that could have gotten you just insta-killed. Whereas staying alive maybe is just the better play because it kills more time. It keeps that guy from getting the site for free, that kind of thing. But yeah, I'm going to skip the next 2 gun rounds, so we'll go to the last round. That round lasts 30 seconds. They kill everyone in B. This one lasts a little longer, but it was only 45 seconds instead of 30, or a minute 30 seconds, and you weren't involved. And then last round. Again, I don't really love this spot. This is a really questionable play right here. So you've got to, I guess, just be a little more comfortable getting into, normal spots because you made noise when you first jumped, but this guy doesn't actually know you're here. Just, this is kind of weird because you're not out of the round yet, and this is kind of like a panic play. You know what I mean? Just go pit or something, or sight. If you go for a panic play like this, you're just begging for issues. But what it does do is let you learn a lesson in that once you get a kill like that, don't just go swinging, okay? Because if you go swinging with 5 HP, you're dead, no matter what. Because what just happened there is you killed a guy, and he screamed, one guy's apps, one guy's balcony, and then they're all going to turn to kill you, and you have 5 HP. Live. Try and pull some bullshit later, because if you get in the moment and just start swinging on shit, you're going to die. I had to learn this for my matches. I had to learn this for playing in, the FEL queues and stuff. It's really, really, really important to get it out of your system that, I got to kill, got to swing. It's just like, you have no chance if you swing here, and it's hard to accept that, but you might have a better chance later if you catch someone off guard. You make them not be able to play quite as good after plans because your teammates can come help you, that kind of thing. Your 5 HP is not gonna go great, so there's just you're just worth more staying alive being a nuisance. Okay, so like I've been saying during this, there's not a whole fundamental thing you need to work on a ton. Well, there is. It's fundamental decision though, not like your mouse and stuff was fine. It was fine, but I'll go through some of that. Fundamentals wise, you're gonna still need to clean up your peak significantly on T side. So like I said, in the long holiday, you're getting to fights you aren't really truly taking. So by that I mean you're not peeking all hallway looking for a fight. You're just kind of meandering about some of those fights, and it's pretty often, and it's just it's hurting you, because the fact that you're not treating angles like they can kill you is a huge thing. You've got to start treating angles on T side like they're going to murder you, because that's how you truly clean up your play and get so consistent that you get a 30 in this game instead of 22, and you maybe win it. And then, like I said, learning from the stuff I mentioned individually, don't go in apps against ecos, just the small things like that. Try and remember those that I talked about and learn them. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to just repeat all of them right here. And then another fundamental thing is you need to do what I said in the very first lesson. You need to try and autocorrect stuff like your crosshair placement on your own and your positioning and stuff, like I was talking about when you were in Graveyard. Try and autocorrect yourself while it's happening in game, because that'll improve you a lot faster than having to wait till a demo to see it happen or listen to me say it. Because if you can notice oh shit, this is bad, that means you're improving as a player decision making wise, and it'll improve everything for you over time as you just make better plays and get better fights. So try and do the auto-correcting on your crosshair placement and on your positioning and stuff. And then try and notice the fights you're losing or walking into. So in apps, when they're in apps a bunch and they keep killing you, or you keep, swinging on angles you're not really checking, try and notice when that's happening. Then from the limited stuff you did on CT side, you just don't seem to be comfortable playing passive. On CT, like I've said a bunch of times, it's important that you try and have an idea of what you want to do before you get in a fight. So Graveyard, like I said, that on a most basic level, you at least need to know oh, well, I'm only going to be able to really get one here if I don't try and make a sneakier play or something. So you need to try and think ahead so you can both fix your long-term thinking, this spot sucks for this, and your short-term in that round. Because you have no teammates, so you're screwed. So you have to recognize that more metagame stuff and the smaller stuff. Then all the small stuff I mentioned throughout, like I said, apps versus pistols, not rotating off your solo side ever without a convincing bomb, that kind of thing. Then on the higher level, you're going to need to start thinking a higher level, trying to piece together what info you have and stuff. That's the biggest thing I can take from this to show you, is that rounds where you could have made a huge difference had you just conveyed the info to your teammates that I didn't check this thing, they could be mid, or I killed 2, there's going to be 1 more hiding somewhere on A probably. Just making sure that's known to your teammates and to yourself so that you're going and checking mini pit, checking this, blah, blah, blah. Being aware that, you could have pushed apps because he's nowhere on A, that kind of thing. Once you clear all those spots and go, he probably pushed apps, because you've now cleared it, you can make that assumption. That's something you really got to work on, and that's the next step for truly getting better, is being able to piece together what's happening in a round based off the info. It's hard, and that's what true game sense is, but these are situations where you can see the patterns, and they work on all maps. 2 guys play A on cache. I killed 1 on cache. Okay, the guy's probably highway rotate or truck rotate, so we need a crossbow. Stuff that's small, as you build up your repertoire of knowledge, it'll help you out a lot. Or, hey, door's open, and I heard a footstep. He's probably pushing door. You have to be able to do that on a bigger scale with limited info. So I killed 2, 1's alive. Clear. Okay, I've pieced it together. He's probably pushed apps. That kind of thing is something you need to be able to do. And then that is your next step for improving as a player and playing in matches, because that's what the pros are the best at. They have the best game sense with the best aim. And their game sense is what keeps them alive and lets them play as a team. Because I know you play with a team now too, so this applies a lot to your team. And even in pugs, though, you can make these game sense calls and learn from them. He is in apps like I thought when I cleared all this. That's the huge thing you're going to need to work on here. I hope that makes sense. So let me know if you have any questions about that section. This demo is a little more about the individual rounds on some of it, but then that's the big part that's going to have to be done. Those rounds where I talked about putting together info, that kind of stuff. Working on that as a whole and recognizing those, and if you need to ask me about some of them, or something happens in the game you want to ask and I can explain that situation, I'll try. Otherwise, let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you later.